Hello, everybody. Welcome back to La Cantina MX Football Podcast, episode 394. We finally have 32 teams left in the League's Cup. Some upsets, some shockers, and some teams have been already eliminated from Liga MX. So we're going to talk about this tournament and how it's been disappointing so far. And we also have some transfer rumors in the month of August. And also some chisme going on with Querétaro. But that and much, much more. Before I go any further, just want to let you guys know we are streaming live on Twitter Spaces and YouTube. So join either channel and feel free to speak up if you want to get in on the conversation. Joining me tonight, my good friend Joel. Joel, how we doing?
Good, Jaime. Like you, disappointed, but no big deal.
Yeah. We just wrapped up the group stage of the League's Cup. We had, I believe, 15 groups of 3. And I think in hindsight, I don't agree with the amount of groups because every match just carried too much weight of importance. Chivas only had 2 matches, and in both matches, they ended up being on the losing end of them, and they have been eliminated from the League's Cup as of yesterday. And now we look at 3 weeks without Chivas football. Liga MX does not return until the 26th of August. So what do we do now?
Damn. I don't know, man. Take a breather, Jaime. It's good sometimes too. To just, focus on something else. I'm disappointing result for Chivas, but I'm not worried.
You're not worried?
I'm not worried. I've seen a lot of fans freaking out and thinking that as if the team already is going downhill, but they started good in the league. 3 wins, I believe. I think if anything, this cup was a good chance for Pau to try things out.
Paunovic got a little bit of criticism with his choice of starting players and substitutions, and we start to see a trend here. In the final against Tigres, he made some questionable moves, and then to start this tournament, he did have Rangel as the starting goalkeeper. Now, I think what now is starting to come out of the woodwork is that, Miguel Jimenez was not at 100%. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand is I don't think Chivas went into this tournament at 100% healthiness. They did rush the return of Liga MX to squeeze in 3 fixtures to start the season. And it was almost like fool's gold, right? Chivas started off very hot, scored a lot of goals, especially with like the young players like Brillo and Yael Padilla, and it really just seemed like, oh wow, like Chivas are out here, trying to redeem themselves from losing a final, and it looks like things are going to be better this season. They go 3 for 3 in the league, and then going into League's Cup, it's like they did make a statement like, hey, we're going to try and win this thing. And in reality, like they just did not ever look like themselves. I don't know if, there's other factors that we have to think about. Number one, all the games are in the United States. Number two, logistics and stuff. It didn't seem like it was in the MLS best interest to be the best host for Liga MX teams. They made them feel uncomfortable. They didn't give them the right kind of infrastructure to succeed in this tournament. We did see already reports of like Leon being stranded in the airport, Tigres being stranded in the airport, maybe not getting the best times to practice as well. So a lot of things stacked up against Liga MX teams. You also talk about the officiating, the refereeing side of things. It hasn't been the best. And if you're a Chivas player, you're like, hey, dude, what is there to gain from this tournament? What is there to gain continuing in this tournament? We can just go back home to Guadalajara, rest up for 3 weeks, and chill. We don't have to worry about this stupid tournament. And that was kind of like the attitude that I saw out there on the pitch. I'm not sure if...
Well, I mean, as players, doesn't matter what you're playing. You do have to go all out to try to win a spot in the starting team. But
yeah,
but I think as the coach, you do have to sort of keep the whole league in mind. And I don't think Chivas has the type of squad to play two tournaments. And I think, one thing that has plagued Chivas for a long time has been injuries. And that's the last thing, just with the season started,
Uh huh.
you want to lose players, uh, you know, to injury for a cup, and then it will affect you at the league. Now, I'm not making excuses for the team's poor performance, but at the same time, you do have to say, okay, what are they going to prioritize, or what's more important?
Yeah.
And I think we've seen that with a few of the other clubs because we're looking at clubs that they have new coaches, like America and Monterrey, and they're just getting started, so it's a bit of the same. At the end of the day, the league is more important, and that's one of the things that I have to agree with Habibi when he was talking about how he sort of sees this as a preseason. This is like the team's preseason before the actual season starts, and I do feel some of these clubs are taking it that way. Um, but I mean, also you have to give due to MLS, where it's like they've grown to that point where you can't just show up, and expect to beat them, and where they will take advantage of all that stuff and then have favorable results. Where this is probably the first time I haven't really paid much attention to some of these previous tournaments, but this is probably the first time where you see some of these Liga MX teams getting their asses handed to them 4-1, 3-0, with scores like that. I mean, they'd happened before, but not so many at once.
Yeah, I agree. Up until now, it's not like the first time we've had combat between MLS and Liga MX, but this is the first time that we've had both entire leagues battling out against each other. Although I will say again, with all the advantages that the MLS have, a lot of these matches
Yeah,
they haven't had to travel. They've been hosting their matches against these Mexican clubs. So they have that, and
yeah,
despite loading up the fans, you look about the Kansas City Chivas game yesterday, I would say that there was a lot of Chivas fans in attendance. You heard the chants throughout the game, but even if you're on a, even if your own away fans fill in the stadium, it's not the same as playing in El Acron or playing in El Azteca or playing in Mazatlan or in Juarez. It's not the same, right? It's not the same vibe. You don't feel like you're at home. And I feel like there was a lot of uncomfortableness by some of these Liga MX teams. Maybe their attitude in general towards the tournament, they just didn't really feel like there was much at stake, and that's why they were so easy to just bend over and take it. I look at teams like San Luis. San Luis had a terrible outing. Puebla had a terrible outing. Necaxa, Tijuana. Like some of these teams just got their shit pushed in, bro. And I mean Chivas too. They're definitely not um, you know, uh immune to this criticism. I think in fact they were probably the team that deserves the most criticism because they are considered one of the biggest clubs in Mexico. They were runner up last season with in the final in Liga MX, and there was a lot of illusion going into the tournament that they were going to be a favorite, and to go out like this, I think it's pretty embarrassing. And I think you're right. They were not built for two tournaments. Paunovic said it himself that they weren't ready for the international stage. So I think they're nursing a lot of injuries. Vega looked like he's out of shape. Um, Guti just got incorporated into the team, so there's still a lot to figure out from Chivas.
yeah. Chivas has been a hospital for a while. Um, that's why I'm saying and they didn't really bring that many players in the offseason. What they got, just Guti?
Marin and Wale, or Wally, whatever his fucking name is, which is weird.
I forgot about that guy already.
I
It's like
think
we
it's
saw him in the
weird.
presentation and then it disappeared.
I think it's weird that they, you know, took all this effort to sign him. They used a loophole because he has played majority of his career in Spain. He does have, a Mexican mother, I believe, or grandmother. I forget what the tie is to Mexico, but they did all this to get him into the team. And I have yet to see him play. And you think about this tournament, like maybe, Jimenez was injured and that's why he didn't start, and you give it to Rangel, but he had a terrible first game. I would have liked to see Wally just to see what he's got.
Yeah, it'd be funny if he's injured.
Yeah, who
He's
knows?
injured. He got injured.
But
Yeah.
Joel, we have fans already asking for Paunovic's like resignation. Can you
Oh,
believe that?
dude, seriously? No, man. I thought it was just like a meme or like joking, but yeah, no, he had a wonderful season, man. Even if I said it, even like if he were to get eliminated first round of Liguilla, his season was great, man. And you don't throw everything to the trash just because of a few bad games. You want to be able to judge the season as a whole. Everything that's been done, and now he's managed to get a lot of these young, have a system and have all these young players, shining and doing really good. As much of a fan as I am of Luse, we weren't getting stuff from like Beltran and some of these other young guys that are now looking really good.
Yeah. We've had some teams that have done well in Mexico. You look at Rayados, they won both of their matches. They handled business over there on the West Coast.
Yeah, but what a spot they have, dude. See, that's like the difference right there. When you look at Chivas and when you look at um like
Tigres.
Rayados Monterrey and Tigres, and you see their squads and you see how stacked they are. Chivas just doesn't have that. They got about five good players, and then the rest are just there for support. You have some young guys there, and so that's why every time someone gets injured, Chivas ends up suffering a lot. They don't. A lot of times they don't have no one to replace them. Um, Monterrey had a guy, but
Oh, you cut out there, Joel. What was that? Oh, I can't hear
his
you.
name. You can't hear me?
Oh, you got a little bit too far from your headset or something, or your
Dude,
phone.
I have the phone with me.
Oh, okay.
What about now?
I know. Yeah, you sound better now.
All right. The Monterrey striker, what is it? Beltrame or Beltrame?
The for Rayados,
Yeah, the yellow striker. You haven't been watching the
Germán
games, huh?
Bertame. Yeah,
There you go, man. You got that dude, man. They're not even missing what's his face. I'm already
Funes
forgetting
Mori,
his
Fallas
name.
Mori.
Yeah. See, we don't even have that at Chivas, dude. We have an Alexis in one leg, Macias with no legs, and that's about it, dude. I don't know what an orange cone. I don't know.
An orange cone.
But
And
I think
they just got Sergio Canales from
all
Betis.
the Spaniard. Yeah, see, so that's the difference right there, man.
And I heard they
That's
asked for
pretty
extra
much.
guacamole too. They're like, throw some extra guac on that too, by the way.
I like that rich me with the money. That's the big difference right there, man. Yeah, with a team like that, you can't have those expectations. But Chivas, not really, man. They've been scraping by for the last 5 years. Um, that's just the thing. I think, but there's also that. I mean, I give you the whole MLS is getting the advantage, but you still have to. We still have to like realize that their teams aren't weak, right? Even though on average, I say a Liga MX team is stronger, but not by that much. which, and I think that there's still like that hesitation to like um sort of like come to terms with that. Like, hey, these teams aren't they don't really suck the way we would like them to. And it reminds me a lot of the national team because I remember when Mexico started playing friendlies like on a yearly basis. I think sometimes twice a year, and they were all in the U.S. And then and all of a sudden Mexico can't win. It's draws or they're losing, and that was the same thing. Oh well, it's a friendly. It doesn't matter. The players didn't take it serious. Um, and there was what other excuse was there? Well, they're all in the U.S. Players didn't take it serious.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't an
Uh,
international window, so we weren't.
yeah, it
We
was
didn't
the B
release our best
team.
players. Yeah.
Hey, and but little by little they're creeping up. They they have a win over Mex in the Copa Husband Señoritas Copa America '95. Then they end up beating I think it was a Nike Cup around '97, '99. I can't remember, but they won 3-0, which is one of their the bigger wins. Uh, and then they have, of course, in '02 was the massive win right there with the beating Mex at the World Cup. And so then at that point, it's like, oh shit, you're sort of out of excuses at that point. And we're probably still a little bit far from that just because these cups are made for here. But it's like you're already seeing these teams punish the Liga MX teams that aren't able to bring it.
Yeah, for sure. Betrame, by the way, is leading in goals in the tournament with 5. Lionel Messi has 3. And this one's going to hurt. This one stings a lot. Brandon Vasquez has 4. A player that Pelaez had inquired about offered 500K. He's like, oh, we have our sources and you're only worth 500K. Bitch, you were using transfermarket.com like the rest of us. You saw the 500K on his name, and that's the offer that you guys gave.
No,
And then they came back with 5 million. And Pelas is like, yo, that's too much money. I'm like, yeah, dude, but that ended up costing us because we could have used him, number one. We went for a Daniel Rios, who is fucking trash, and a Ormeño, trash. And Brandon has been scoring goals, man. He scored 2 or 3 against us. So, yeah, it does hurt to see that.
but I think the money wasn't in the Chivas piggy bank. So when they say 5 million, it was like, all right, that's out of their budget. That's basically what they spent for Ormeño and the other guy,
That's what I'm
including
saying.
wages. Including wages. I mean, that's the other part where you forget, like, you have to include wages there. So the
And
transfer's not.
we had to trade Canelo to Leon, I think, to get Ormeño, too. That wasn't pathetic, man.
Good. Yeah. No, I think that had more to do with the club just having that type of money. But it was worth the risk, because he wasn't that. I think he just had second division games, right? I don't think he had played. I don't know if he's playing in MLS, but I think at that point he was just playing in. I don't know what their second. What is it? A League or
Are you
what?
talking about Brandon Vasquez?
Yeah.
He was on the come up. He started scoring some goals for
No,
Cincinnati.
no, but weren't they like in a? They weren't in MLS when they inquired about. He was like in a second division team.
No, I'm looking at it right now. It looks like he started at Tijuana, but he never actually made it an appearance. But that was where he had his youth career at. And, and then he went to Atlanta United, and then he was at Atlanta United 2, which is like USL. And then
There you go.
he went to Cincinnati in 2020. He's had 101 appearances and 28 goals.
But Cincinnati, because I know MLS has been adding. They've been adding
Yeah,
teams
they
too. Like there's no.
were. I'm trying to see when they got promoted to the. So they expanded in 2019 to the MLS.
All right, so I guess he was already there. Um, just you're going too hard on Pelaez though. He-
I'm
It's
just like
not his
saying
fault.
we had a chance to get him, and it does hurt to see him
For
score.
the money, dude, Chivas doesn't. They don't have Monterrey money. That's
They
five
might not
million.
have had the
That's
5
three players
million.
for Chivas.
They probably didn't have the 5 million up front, but like you said, what they spent on Ormeño and Rios, we probably would have came out the same. But we're talking about MLS here, and they want their money up front. And I, I think in Mexico, Chivas have some kind of like layaway program, where they do it in payments.
Pay as you play. Yeah, dude. Yeah, because I do feel that was the case with Pizarro. I don't think they ever outright
Like,
had paid all that
pay it.
money for him, and they still owed Pachuca. So when Pachuca said, "Hey, chip up," they had nothing, so they're like, "All right, he's going, he's leaving, dude. He's leaving to Monterrey."
Yeah, they were probably like rejoiced when they saw that Monterrey were offering some money for him. We have Ricardo joining the show. Ricardo, man, welcome. I know he's got some shit talking.
I don't know, man. That 3-1 defeat.
4-1.
4.
Damn. Oh, worse, dude.
Gentlemen, how's it going?
It's
Good,
going.
good.
It's going.
What's the topic of conversation? America getting porked? The
No.
Chivas getting eliminated? What are we
It
talking
was
about?
Chivas getting eliminated, but then when you came in, it went to the porking.
Oh, okay. Of course. No, because anytime, it's like that movie Wicker Man. America's that cop guy, and they put him in the big wood guy, and they burn him, and everyone celebrates.
Was it Burning Man?
Wickerman with
That
the Cage.
Oh, sounds like
No,
Burning Man.
the older one. The older one's better.
Oh snap! I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's like a cult horror movie.
I need to see it. It's from England, I think, right?
Yeah, it was filmed in Scotland, but what can I say, man? All the MLS fanboys and the because MLS has more fans in Mexico than they do in the US. All the pundits, the commentators, the haters of Mexican football, most of them are in Mexico. And the weirdos like Hercules Gomez or Buffalo Bill, Alexi Lalas, they piggyback off the Mexican media.
Oh yeah.
So they don't really they're enjoying this. They're jizzing in their pants, like I said. This is like when El Salvador beat Mexico 2-1. When was that? In 2008 or 9 or one of those
Damn,
years?
dude, you're going too far back. 2008.
But you remember, you know what I'm talking about, Paul.
My mind, yeah, it's hard for me to remember some of these. But no, yeah, but you said it. That's like their World Cup game for them. So they're always obviously they're going to make a big deal about it.
But what really caught me by surprise, and I'm not justifying or making excuses for anyone, but what really caught me by surprise was a certain game specifically when Chivas lost to Cincinnati. There was a bunch of excuse making and like everyone was thinking like this was like head to head like Liga MX versus MLS. This is
Well, that's
nothing
what it
more.
is.
No, that's not what it is.
But
It's
that's the
everything
whole
except
point of
that.
the league.
No, it's masked and disguised as that. But this is a big MLS infomercial, propaganda, sheep in wolf's clothing, trying they're using this tournament as an agenda to keep their agenda going. And what's that agenda?
Yeah.
It's shitting on Liga MX and bigging up everything MLS does.
Oh no,
Is
that's too
it
negative, dude.
is
Come
it
on, I
is
don't
it
think so, man.
them trying to say that the gap is closed? Is that what they're trying to justify?
Tampoco,
That's
dude.
one of the talking points for sure. No, but going back to the Chivas game, is like what I forgot to add was like the Mexican fans or specifically the Chivas fans. Not to just pick on them because there's a bunch of even America fans when they got porked by that. I don't even know Columbus crewmen, whatever. The layman is like knockoff Dortmund colors, the crappiest logo I've ever seen. But like the fans were making like they went into this tournament thinking like it was like a like I said like MLS versus Liga MX, but like
But it is.
when this tournament was announced, I knew this was gonna happen beforehand.
You
The
know,
MLS
Mex teams
teams
were
were gonna
gonna
be
get porked.
oh for sure because they were gonna favor the MLS teams, just like you seen when Cruz Azul that no call with Messi and that fake penalty that team got against America because that guy Malagon barely tapped the back of his knee and he fell down because USA fans they love to their one of their criticisms or they like to point out is like oh Mexican players are flopping right and there you go that goal conditioned the rest of the game, but no excuses. They lost, but this tournament really like people were getting the wrong idea about it. Like this is what it was always going to be. They're promoting MLS and Liga MX is just the slut girlfriend to bring along and pork.
Yeah. I think what is sad is like you look at Americans and what they're taking away from this tournament is that, oh yeah, things are going great for MLS and we are superior to Mexico. And I mean, there was that video clip that went around today about like Americans just trying to explain like soccer and like how penalties are chosen and oh, it was just like the most cringe shit ever, dude.
Those are the younger fans, though. You gotta keep in mind, like, there's all the different fans. So fans that have been watching for a long time, they know they have a pretty good understanding of what where how the leagues measure up. And of course, for newer fans, this is yeah, it could be misleading. It's gonna be misleading, but I mean, I think you really like Liga MX. If the teams aren't taking advantage of it, then that's on them. If they can't, um,
Adapt.
yeah, or put better performance, so you really can't say, oh, this is because how you're saying that it's just to promote the MLS team, but if you're like America, even Monterrey Tigres, right, and you can't do that, then you're promoting your team. Now you're using that cup now to promote your team. Like let's say they Tigres ends up playing Inter Miami in the final. All eyes are on them, and if Tigres, you know, puts on a show, man, and they just embarrass Miami, then a lot of people would have seen that. And now that image of that team is three times of what it was prior to that tournament.
I think people know who Tigres are because they almost beat Bayern Munich in the Club World Cup final.
Oh yeah, but we're talking about now here, like in the U.S., with a lot of new fans and younger fans and just people that were tuning in just to watch Messi and whatnot. So kind of that. But I do think because I that's where I kind of see it going. Some of the tournaments happening here in the U.S. sort of like how what you see with with like the NBA and what is it, baseball, um,
The All Star
MLB.
game.
No, just the leagues because they have teams from Canada, right? NBA and baseball, they have Canadian teams there, so people here will know about those teams down there, and so I see it happening, especially with this, three host the World Cup, where it could be a possibility where there would be like a leagues type cup with which would be like the one league, and it'll have teams even from Canada, which I think it has already, right? Like the ones that are in MLS. What would it be? Just Toronto, and then perhaps Vancouver.
Vancouver.
So that's kind of the same thing right there that we're watching. Um, but I think it might be a few more years till you could see like teams having like really strong, putting really strong. Clubs putting really strong teams in the tournament. So kind of like what Inter is doing, how they're building that team for Messi, and then there's talk of what LAFC bringing Chucky, and so you could have like Chucky, Vela, and they'll probably need like one more. I don't know what scrubs they have, but then you add to those teams, you add the top Liga MX teams, like, and I shouldn't say top, but like with the better players, Tigres, Monterrey, and just to name a few. And at that point, when you have like a Final Four, it's those big type games. I mean, it's nowhere near Champions League, but you have to start somewhere, right? So it's a good start if you ask me.
The fact you acknowledge that Messi's in the final speaks volumes about this tournament.
Well, why
Oh
would it? It's a
man.
business.
Just wait
Hey,
till
it's a
you find
business.
out how home field advantage
That's
works.
hey, but that's the whole thing about soccer. It's a business, right? It's a business first. Costs a lot of money to build the stadiums, to have the top players, to have all of that. So yeah, you're sort of like, you know, if they did it for that, so be it. But you're trying to get it to grow and to become popular, where it does get to the point where then you don't need that favoritism anymore.
You know what's crazy, Ricardo, is that you talk about Miami, Messi, and you look at the bracket that they're in, right? They have to play against Orlando, and Miami could theoretically play the entire tournament at home because what happens when they play against a Mexican team is they get to host. And what happens when they play against an MLS team, it goes off of, I think, last year's results of who ended up higher in the table. So Miami could theoretically go all the way to the final and even host the final, which is ridiculous. It's like they didn't have to leave their fucking, and this thing is just like the World Cup in 2022 all over again, just like carrying Messi to the final any possible way to drive in revenue, to drive in money and all that. And it's just like at the expense of what? Liga MX having to put their season on hold for this fucking thing. It's just like it was just a terribly organized tournament. And I don't agree with 15 groups of 3 or 15 groups of it was like 15 groups. They should have done just a traditional like how they do in the World Cup, 32 teams, 8 groups of 4. They gave LAFC and Pachuca a first round bye because they were the champions of their respective leagues. But what advantage is that? They haven't had a competitive game in 3 weeks. So they're going into this, round of elimination of 32, in my opinion, at a disadvantage because they haven't played competitively in 3 weeks. And
And
honestly,
so
I'm actually leaning towards Juarez against LAFC tomorrow.
I these it's so in their favor. I don't even know what the hell to think, man. But to your point, Jaime, like everything is so unorganized that that it's so obviously skewed towards them being the like Hall doesn't want to admit it, but it's basically a big a big like a high. What's that? You guys ever seen those commercials at midnight with that guy that sells that soap that cleans everything? Those type of those type of ads.
An infomercial?
Yeah. No, but there's a guy with Oxy something or
OxyClean?
OxyClean. There you go. It's like an OxyClean commercial. Like, but well, I don't like the fact that they have to go through all this just to make Liga MX look bad is what really grinds my gears, man. Because if their league is so superior and this and that, it
But who said
just
the league is superior? Like you're going off of some scruffs on the internet.
well, you hear the talking points. Well, come on, man. All the look, if they were so superior, they wouldn't have to keep doing all this. Just to like let your product speak for itself, man. Why do you have to keep involving Liga MX? Because there was so much made about how Liga MX got screwed, and they did in the Libertadores. I know you guys are gonna get mad when they mention that word Libertadores, but
I don't get
when
mad.
no Habibi and ¿cómo se llama
Ah,
Mr. Chemo, they get mad when they mention Libertadores, but Liga MX did get screwed. No, I'm not saying they didn't, but you had better competition. You at least had home games. The prize if you because like this. Let's not forget, man. This is sports. Like this is like a competition. Like
Mhm.
not everyone's gonna make it. The event, like the top guy should get the glory and the fruits of their labor that goes with being the champion, man. Not like I don't. This just turns like no me cae bien. Like having everyone get a piece of the pie. Like if you suck, man. You shouldn't be here.
You know, you just gave me a great idea just to up the ante. I think League's Cup should be given host rights on whoever wins the Conca Champions League. And as of right now, that's Mexico. So I think like the next time they host this, if they plan on hosting this again, it should be in Mexico just to fucking give them a little piece of their own medicine, you know? A taste of their own medicine.
yeah, but then no one's gonna go to the games.
No one goes to these games. Have you seen some of those? I was watching some of the highlights. There's more Liga MX fans in Mexico than actual. I mean, in the U.S. than actual MLS fans.
Yes, the
And
attendance has been some pretty terrible for some of these matches.
that Chivas game was telling when they played Kansas. There was more Chia Hermanos in the stands
Yeah.
than the other team, man.
They showed up their own stadium. And then in the game against Cincinnati, they had to suspend the match because of lightning, and then they resumed it the next day. It's like, what the fuck, man?
So unprofessional.
Is that in Cincinnati where the Chillermanos were fighting each other?
That was in Kansas.
Damn. That
Yeah.
was the recent one.
I would say like for bragging rights, they should be like, all right, you guys wanna continue this tournament, then let's make it interesting. Let's, whoever wins this gets to host it next year. I think that would put this, I think that would be fair. As of right now, it's like everyone's invited to this tournament, right? So number one, the stakes aren't that high because everyone's qualified. It's like everyone gets a participation trophy. And number two, like, what do we gain from winning this? The teams that are the most competitive and top performer in their respective leagues already get a ticket to the Champions League. So it's like, what is at stake here? Absolutely nothing. What is there to gain?
No, there is your fan base because think about it. This is the U.S. is where Liga MX teams play their most. This is pretty much where they do their whole preseason, any friendlies. This has always been the moneymaker for them. So if you want to cultivate a fan base in the U.S., they have to be able to see you to see the team in person. At least as often as they can. They're not all going to be flying into Max for games, and so if you're having tournaments where you're looking good and you're winning, that's even better.
I
just sort of
highly doubt that you're influencing anyone that is attending these matches. It's not like you have neutral fans going to these matches. People either go to see their respective MLS side or their club from Mexico, and they haven't had the opportunity to like go see, Cruz Azul in Chicago or some shit like that. But I don't think that Mexico, like Liga MX, like for example, tomorrow Atlas versus New England. I doubt any like if Atlas end up playing marvelous and having a very very impressive match. I doubt there's any fans that attended that match to be like, oh, I'm gonna be an Atlas fan now, or hey, I'm gonna look into Liga MX now because
yeah. If
I
you
don't,
see
dude. I
people
don't
that
think you
take their
are, bro.
kids,
I don't think you are.
you never seen it with Selección, where people take their kids grow up, and then they're watching the national team and paying
No,
money to go.
we got kids eating quesadillas and thinking they want Mexican national citizenship because they eat quesadillas. That's what we're getting, dude. Has nothing to do
Nah,
with soccer.
Hey, but to reply to Joel's point about them having the games all the time over here, but isn't it like you're just shooting yourself in the foot by trying to promote your teams over here, but forcing them to play this tournament that's so compressed and forced and like I shared that clip of Alvaro Morales saying that stuff, and it's completely true. Like these Mexican teams, they're the ones with the burden of moving around, like that dork Sutcliffe was saying. Oh, just because they're flying, like that's just an excuse. Have you guys flown around a lot of times, man? That's exhausting.
Yeah, man. I had to travel
Like,
quite a bit this month. That shit gets to you, bro. You don't want to fucking perform after, especially if like they fucked up your flight, like what happened with Leon. These dudes had to sleep in the fucking airport like Tom Hanks in Terminal.
so in this tournament, we're getting the Libertadores treatment without the Libertadores benefits
Yeah.
of playing against good teams. I don't care. Like you can make what you want of America or Chivas getting beat, but I know for sure these teams aren't training like that because all the reports that are coming out. So they could like Hercules Gomez. He can keep going. He can keep jizzing his pants about this, but it's smoke and mirrors in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll have to see exactly how this pans out. Tomorrow we'll have a few matches, LAFC versus Juarez. I'm actually looking forward to that one. I think it could go either way. And then Pachuca and Houston Dynamo, which is in your neck of the woods.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be completely empty. I'm telling you right now, completely.
Hector Herrera, man, you don't want to see.
Nah, I don't want to see the Mexican Bruce Jenner. But who was it, the Mazatlan fan or a Juarez fan that left a message in the last pod, Jaime? Or
We do have I think he was originally a Morelia fan, but he's a
he's a Mazatlan.
he's a Mazatlan fan. Yeah, he's been tweeting quite a bit at us.
Oh. I thought it was a Juarez fan because they got a pretty good player in that Spanish guy. He was a second division player. I thought of something. I don't know. I don't remember his last name, but he's been playing pretty good. That could be like a little steal for them.
I'm just trying to see. Yeah, it's game off. Yeah, he's happy about his team making it to the next round, which is someone needs to explain how a team like Mazatlan was able to get into the round of 32 and Chivas can't. That I need someone with math to explain that one to me. Doesn't make any sense.
I was hoping to see another one of those Austin fan videos, but
Oh, I know they haven't posted. I've been waiting for
yeah,
another meltdown.
I think they caught on to us, man. They caught on to that last video.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear that white guy say Panocha again. That shit was hilarious. I will say, looking at this bracket, you got LAFC Juarez, you have Leon, Real Salt Lake, Tigres Vancouver, Monterrey, Portland, Columbus Crew, Minnesota, Toluca, Kansas City, Chicago, and America, and then Cincinnati versus Nashville. That one side of the bracket is stacked, and a lot of Mexican on Mexican crime. If they have, if they win their respective matches, like for example, Tigres, if they get past Vancouver, will have to play against Rayados in the round of 16. I'm like, dude, not only did they heavily skew one side of the bracket, so the Mexicans just fight each other and kill each other off, but you look at the other side of the bracket with like Messi, this dude's basically in the final already. Like, I don't think they're gonna get challenged until they get into maybe the semifinal.
And how dumb was that they put, like you said, all the Mexican teams on one side? They even to play it safe, they should have put America or Chivas in the other side, just in case they both met at the final. Like whoever came up with this was real dumb.
Yeah, in fact, it's funny you mentioned that because if Chivas had qualified instead of Kansas, yeah, they would have faced America eventually, like in the same side, which is dumb. The other side, there's nothing going on, man. You got teams like Atlas, Mazatlan, Cruz Azul, and Pumas. I mean, no disrespect, but come on.
I didn't know there was that many MLS teams. They should really, if they want to keep this chocolate cup going, they should probably like cut out a few of those teams and make them earn their spots for this tournament because there's a bunch of teams and Mexico's like it's like groups of three and there's two MLS teams to a Mexican team, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
There's like a lot of teams in MLS. I mean, they almost have twice the amount that we do. And, it's all just a franchise fee. That's all you got to do is pay a franchise fee and you're in, There is no promotion relegation. Um yeah, I don't know, man. This tournament, we'll see how it goes, but I think the part where they messed up was the groups of 3 where you only have 2 guaranteed matches, and then after that, it's like you lose, you go home, and you don't do anything for the next 3 weeks. It's a silly tournament. I think that they should have made at least 3 guaranteed matches before just going home. At least at minimum that. Or maybe they should have done some kind of like league table. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. I don't necessarily think that they had to execute this tournament in 1 month. I think they should do what they do in other cup tournaments, which is incorporate it, sprinkle it in throughout the regular season. You have your match on the weekend in your respective league, and then midweek you travel to play this like knockout tournament. I think that's how they should have gone about it. I don't understand why they put everything on pause and made everyone battle it out in 1 month. I think that was completely unnecessary.
just like Libertadores, spread the wealth all around, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you why they did it. It's because the NFL's coming up, man. They're not going to have that many eyeballs once the NFL season starts.
When does the NFL season start? Like September?
I think it's like in September.
Oh, okay.
If you try to spread those games out for like the rest of the year, I guarantee you they wouldn't get as many views.
I don't think
even with me.
I don't think there would be much conflict because those games are like on Sunday, right? It's not like they play midweek. Like NFL games are all like on Sunday, right? Sunday or Monday or Thursday.
Monday, Thursday, and you got to keep in account college football that's all Saturday, and NFL that's all Sunday. So that's 4 days out of the week. No one's gonna be paying attention.
I would say like if you host a Leagues Cup match on a Tuesday or Wednesday, I think that'd be a safe bet. That's how they do it for Champions League. That's how they do it. That's how they used to do it for Copa Libertadores. These matches would be in the middle of the week. It wouldn't really conflict with NFL. But I do understand the influence the NFL has on TV, and I know that most Americans aren't going to be caring about MLS once that rolls out.
Just like when was it, the LAFC played that final? They played it on the Saturday, I remember, and it was
They
in the
did.
midday.
Yeah.
And that's because the college football playoff was going on, and they knew they didn't have a chance against showing the game at the same time.
Yeah, I think they played hella early too. It was like either
12.
yeah, it was like 12. I'm like, what the fuck for a final? Really? Okay. Thought that was weird.
Man, what really caught me off guard, Jaime, was that I was paying it because I refused to pay. That was pretty dumb of them due to the Apple TV. You have to pay for Apple TV and that MLS thing, right? So you have
Really?
to pay. Yep. Yeah, that's what I've seen online. That you have to pay for
Oh, you got a
also.
double dip? That's dirty.
Yeah. That isn't the type of double whammy I like to experience, man. No, but these teams, like I'm not the teams. I mean, Chivas, what really stood out, man. They look really tired to me, and like what's his name? The wing, not the winger, the midfielder,
Guti.
Porcho, Guti and Porcho. Both of them looked like they were running in mud or had concrete on their feet.
They were probably
Like,
doing lines this whole time, bro.
probably, yeah.
Those dudes went on a fucking drinking binge or something, reunited again. But I will say Guti was, and this is hard to say, but Guti was a downgrade from Oso Gonzalez. And Oso is not even that great of a player, but I noticed the detriment to the starting lineup Guti was. I don't think he's fully incorporated with the team yet. You look at Alexis Vega, holy shit, man. That dude needs a personal trainer and a personal chef. Like, that dude needs a fucking solid team around him because he just does not look like he's fit or healthy. And I don't know what kind of diet or regimen he has. Maybe he's taking caguamas in between practice. Like, I don't know, dude, but that guy needs a lot more discipline off the pitch.
What I never understood about him was them, like, I don't know if it was his idea or his preference or the manager at the time's preference, because when he actually looked good was when he was at Toluca and when he was playing striker. I never understood why he, like I said, I
They
don't
put
know
him
if
on the
it was
wing.
on the wing, if it was his idea or the team's idea. That's where he shined the most. That's why I still don't get.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't really remember his time at Toluca. I know he had like a really good Liguilla run, and then that's when Chivas bought him. But I don't remember his position. What I will say is I think he looked a lot skinnier back then, and he definitely tacked on some weight here at Chivas. And sometimes it's not good to do too much muscle or strength training, because your ligaments aren't used to that, and they tend to break. I mean, that's what happened to Ronaldo. That's what's been happening with Neymar. They just put on a lot of muscle, and they aren't able to move the way they used to.
But something's going on with that guy because everyone keeps saying he's injured, and I believe he's injured. And they were talking about it in Picante today. They're like, no, on a different show that I listened to, one in Mexico, and they're talking about how he's always injured, and what
Hmm.
he needs to do is, like, they know for sure his knees like shit. I think it's the right knee that is just a
Yeah.
mess. They say he refuses to get it operated for whatever reason.
Oh.
So that I don't know what's going on there. That's
Yeah,
something to
he
keep an
arrived
eye on.
injured to Chivas. He was injured since he was in his youth. If you listen to his podcast with
Canelo
it's a Chivas guy. Yeah, there's a Chivas guy, right?
was.
Really young guy.
Toluca
Yeah.
now.
Oh well, it's really telling, and this guy opens up and admits to a lot of stuff. So a really good podcast if you wanna kind of see where the players are coming from. And so he had gotten injured. He talks about it, getting injured right around that time that he gets the phone call from Chivas. And I was like, when he said that, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's like Lucas Holder. Because they're like, this dude might just be injured goods. It's like a coin toss, which kind of has been for him, his career, where he keeps getting injured, which is unfortunate, right? Because he could be a way better player. And that is like you say that he's most likely scared of that if he goes through the knife, it might shorten his career.
That's crazy. I'm sure it'll come out in the aftermath when he eventually gets dropped by Chivas and ends up playing God knows where.
No one's about it. It's going into the world, but it's pretty hot commodity. Like it's I guess it's pretty known now that it's
I can't hear you.
a full
What?
TV. No, what about now?
Sounds like you're giving a
Hello?
hand job to a robot. All right, I think I can hear you now.
Damn. Soy bot. Sorry.
Soy bots.
My strength is winning.
My strength is winning.
I thought that was just a meme and there's an actual picture. I was like, damn. No, I was just saying how going into the World Cup, Alexis was like hot commodity. A lot of teams wanted him, or his name was being thrown around. And, and I remember even the whole thing where even he wasn't unsure about renewing with Chivas. And they end up finally giving him that massive contract. And then sort of after that, he just kept getting injured. And now it's like, no, I don't think Chivas will be able to sell him anymore. People just kind of, they cut on. He's got a bad knee.
They say him and his agent had an agreement when all that was going on to go to Rayados. He was going to go.
No way.
He was, in my opinion, overpaid, but that's their money.
And he also had a offer to go to Wolves on a loan, and he said no.
Oh yeah, because it was the whole 6 months, right?
6-month loan. Yeah, and they didn't.
And I think that was part of it too, where he's like, he knows he's at 100, and it was going to be hard for him to probably even just in the training to keep up. Pretty much man. Sucks.
He would have filled that medical.
Yeah, well, that's what sucks with that. About leading into that, when he wasn't renewing with Chivas, Mechi hermanos were harping on Pelaya like it was his fault, and you got all this shit going on in the background, and then they do manage to get him, and highest paid player and massive contract, and he hasn't panned out. It ended up being a fail for Chivas, so far at least.
We did export a player to Standard League where Ochoa used to play in Belgium, Jorge Ruvacalva, so he's on his way over there, which is good.
I like that kid. I remember when Puma signed him, I thought he was going to be another one of these Pocho, because there's a couple of these Pocho kids that are just floating around in Liga MX.
Mm-hmm.
And he, I remember that first season he got there, he was pretty good. And then Pumas, they got the Popo Salvio, that Argentine guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that pretty much ruined his development. So maybe this will work out for him.
I hope so. They made like a little quick TikTok video of him, and it looks like he came from like college. He was playing in San Bernardino, and he was kind of being overlooked by scouts, and then got picked up by Pumas. So wish him the best over there. And you also have Julian Araujo, who was he officially bought by Barcelona, or was he? I don't know. All I know is he's joining Las Palmas in Spain on a loan for a year, no option to buy. Las Palmas is actually in the first division in La Liga, so hopefully they'll get plenty of playing time there. But I'll be honest, man. I I look at this dude and I really don't see what the national team sees in Julian Araujo. I think he's average at best.
I'm just glad America didn't buy him that one year that they made a bid for him, because he's just another one of these brown skinned imposters that, like you said, is kind of looks like he's all hype and he just colors his hair funny, and that's why people talk about him.
I think for marketing reasons, right? He has a bit of a following. He's kind of an influencer, dyes his hair pink, you know.
Oh, he's another one of those kids that he had that statement that he declared himself to be for Mexico only, just like that other guy, that drunk Ochoa.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's probably why they talk about him so well. That's why they call him up so much.
Yeah, I still don't get it. He didn't really get much playing time for the Gold Cup at all. So, yeah, not sure. Chucky Lozano to LAFC. It's all but wrapped up. It was like hot and cold. Yes, no, maybe, but it does seem like it's actually gonna happen. And after that move, man, honestly, we have been trapped in MLS's web. I think this has all just been a plan to lower our level of competition, and it's working. It's actually working. They're luring all of our players to go to the MLS, and yeah, I'm not okay with this move, but I get it.
There was this MLS guy that I've seen the tweet. I was gonna tweet it at Joel just to let him know, to prove to him that it's a big MLS propaganda conspiracy against Mexico. But I haven't been able to find it. I think it's that guy with the mustache that he tweeted it. It's about the MLS's plan to sign the top 20 or 30. There isn't that many good Mexicans. Well, that's what their plan said, like on a like in a like in a little bulletin board. It was like let's like MLS's plan, sign all the top Mexican players, and under it attract all the Mexican fans.
That's been since day one, though. If you look at all the players that they've brought in since the league started, they had Campos, Hermosillo, Luis Hernandez, um, Cuauhtemoc Blanco, Claudio Suarez, Paco Palencia. They pretty much have had every top player, Rafa Marquez. Did Neri Castillo? Am I dreaming here, Jaime? Was Neri in Chicago, or am I
Neri Castillo?
is my mind playing tricks on me?
He did go he did go to Chicago for a little bit.
Oh, there you go. See, they pretty much grab anyone they can. And Vela, Chicharo. So, I mean, that's been overpriced. I don't, to me, that's no big deal. It's even better that they should open up more spaces for Mex players. I think that where the competition is, it's going to be for the better young or just really good South American players. That's I, that's where I feel like they can level the playing field. They keep bringing in, some of these top talents, and I think that's where they could, really, really close the gap right there. Because I think in the last years, I haven't been too impressed with some of the players that Liga Mix has been bringing in. And I think especially comparing to the type of players they had in the past, like Alex Aguilar, Cardoso, players of that level. What's that other Paraguayo? I forget his name. Got shot in the head.
Cabañas.
Cabañas.
Bañas, those guys, Ivo Vasai, list goes on, but there used to be some really top talented players coming in. I just haven't seen, at least not to that level anymore.
So it's MLS's fault then, right?
No, I'm just saying if MLS starts beating next to some of the better players in South America that don't go to Europe, how they don't make it in Europe, but they start beating into them. I think that's to me that's what could level the playing field.
What would you guys say? I don't know if you guys follow, because I was watching Libertadores today. I was watching El Club Hermano de la América Internacional. They lost to River Plate. But I watched that a lot, and I can't remember. Maybe like Joel mentioned a couple names there, but I can't remember the last good South American player that Mexico's gotten, like with a name and with like accolades.
Yeah, but
What was that, Joel? Can't hear you.
You went CP3O on this, man.
I said Ronaldinho.
I'm gonna start calling you R2D2.
I was wrong on the microphone. I had the phone next to me. Ronaldinho, I said. You're talking about the last best player.
All right, let me amend that. The last like a young player, like in their prime,
In their prime?
or in the come up, not in their prime.
And who ended up in MLS?
Who was the Cardona?
Cardona was good shout out, yeah. But he was, I wouldn't compare him to the other guys that would come like in the '90s or early 2000s. I can't think of one that, and like to Joel's point, that's MLS overpaying obviously for him to come to the ML to come to their league. I was reading somewhere because I don't know which one of you guys follows the MLS reporters or what, but there's always articles popping up on my Twitter, and there's this guy that posted a an article about this Colombian international that Chicago that they bought from South America, and they had him for a year, right? And they sold them to like Everton or some team out there for like a lot of money. I think 20 million, and they're like just another reason why MLS is better than Liga MX. And I'm like, I never even heard of this guy, man. And I think those are the type of players that Liga MX can't get a hold of anymore.
What about Diente Lopez? I think he was a good signing for Tigres.
Well, he's don't get me wrong. There's good signings, but not like not the names that you like. For instance, that guy that went
Chelito
to
Delgado. Man, that was a great signing.
yeah. But no, we haven't seen like that guy that plays for the Atlanta team, that Almada that played for Argentina.
Oh, he went to the
We
World
haven't seen
Cup.
someone like that in
Yeah.
Mexico in a while.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like Jackson Martinez, man, that guy was really.
Oh, I wanted him for. I thought he was gonna do the Cabañas and go from Chiapas to America. Man, I was like, missed out on that guy. He was pretty. He was good.
Yeah, for sure.
So someone needs to find that old Chiapas promoter and bring him to a team. Man, that guy had some good players.
He had some good scout. Maybe he had the plug, man. Who knows?
That's what I was thinking about the other day. I'm like, because all these Liga MX teams, they have some shit. They probably all have the same promoter. That guy that that took Coca to the national team, and
Bragarnik.
that scumbag, that lowlife, that cockroach. He uses all the
Tecos would also bring really good players
yeah the
from
Abreu.
Abreu, yeah.
Yeah,
Nava, Donizetti, yeah, they
Nava,
were.
dude, forgot about him.
that guy's using all the Liga MX transfer money, and he bought Elche.
Really?
I wouldn't doubt it because I've seen the transfer market. He has some big names on his clientele list, but
Hmm.
none of those guys are coming to Mexico. He's not even thinking about bringing those guys to Mexico. He's bringing the scraps over here to Liga MX.
Talking about lowlifes, there was some news today about Querétaro not paying their players, and this is with the current ownership.
With the Xolos owner, right?
Hank.
Man, I'm surprised those guys they don't have those teams just stacked. That guy has so much money. He basically sponsors the league, and he's sponsoring this shitty leagues cup. That's kind of suspicious.
Caliente?
Someone was saying, "Yeah, caliente." Like I got an uncle. He always uses that shit, man. That caliente app thing. He's always betting on that crap. So because they have money, man. And those teams are they're just there. They don't provide anything. They're not competitive. They don't have canteranos. Like they're just there. But I know why Querétaro's there, though. I saw Habibi saying that they should disappear Querétaro, but supposedly they're gonna get they have some guy in mind for that team with a lot of money, so they're trying to keep that team there for that reason.
George Hank Ron is a Mexican businessman and owner of Mexico's largest sports betting company, Grupo Caliente. Yeah, I'm sure if you lift some rocks, you'll find some dirt on this guy. I know that
Yeah,
there's a
the
whole
roles have been.
there's a whole other side of gambling that look, like I'm not into gambling. I have friends that are into gambling, and what they tell me is they look at matches through a different lens. There's a whole other side to sports that if you're not in the game, like, you wouldn't catch on to certain things. And yeah, man, I know gambling's a big thing. So I'm sure that somehow, some way, there might be, some things going on behind the scenes with this tournament and some of these fixtures. The refereeing has definitely been suspicious. Yeah, it's very interesting.
So, something that a lot of people don't mentioning Hank and that scumbag Bergarnik. Something that Jorge Ramos meant that I thought was interesting. That bald guy from ESPN. He mentioned that, and a lot of people in the Caliente table looked uncomfortable when he mentioned this. They were talking about how you guys remember where Orbelin came from, right? Querétaro. And didn't you guys find it suspicious how he just like out of nowhere, like when he went to Chivas, he was like up and coming, like he didn't really prove anything, and they sold him for a good amount. It was like 8 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes after Chivas. He goes to Cruz Azul, and he left Cruz Azul on bad terms. He left with a free
Free
transfer.
agency, yeah.
Yeah, and it just so happens that the team he went to has that little midget Caudet, the guy that's coaching in Inter now. And his promoter is the Bragarnik. So when he got there, he never had a chance to play, and people were saying Orbelin never had the level to play there, or the coach didn't like him or ask for him. Right? That was bullshit. He didn't get to play there because Bragarnik he lost money off that Orbelin deal that from Cruz Azul, him leaving Cruz Azul for free. He lost money there. He had money invested in him.
So you're saying he placed him in Europe?
No, I'm saying he didn't get to play at Celta because his guy was coaching there.
Oh, that's right. Oh, you're
You
talking
guys
about
didn't
Rafa
find that
Ramos then.
suspicious?
No, yeah, I remember that.
He they wouldn't even put him on the bench. Like he didn't get to play at all. And now he's in Greece, and I mean, say what you want about Greece, but I mean, I guess he's succeeding, right?
That is very interesting.
No, yeah, that guy has, yeah, he was linked to blocking him and keeping him from playing. Um, yeah, I remember him talking about that. Yeah, that was Rafa Ramos. Yeah, you know, he's bringing some shade, and the others just stay quiet. They're like,
Oh,
oh,
they
we're
were
not, we're
uncomfortable,
not
man.
touching this. They're like,
Yeah.
we're not touching this. Yeah, yeah, that's why that dude, he's not like in the bigger shows like Picante, and for many years he wasn't even in any of the like TV shows. He was just on radio, but he's always named names and provided receipts. So I think that's kept them from being a bigger name, you know.
We do have Ron joining us tonight. Ron, welcome to the podcast. Glad you're able to hop on. I know you're on the East Coast, running late over there.
Yeah, what's up, guys? So, how are you guys feeling after Chivas is, what is it? You're out, right? I just wanted to confirm.
Chivas are eliminated from League's Cup, and America lost 4-1. So, yeah, man, it was quite a shock yesterday and an embarrassment to Liga MX.
Well, we'll see. We'll see at the end because, I mean, honestly, at least the way I look at it, is Liga MX, they're visitors. And for the amount of wins that they've accumulated and the amount of teams that have, advanced past the group stage, that wouldn't be the case if this was played in Central America or Mexico. Most MLS teams wouldn't even get out of the group stages. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and you kind of hope that they do have an even playing field down the road. But as of right now, it's all going to be here in the States.
My stance on that. You gain nothing other than maybe some prize money and stuff like that. But in terms of international, like supremacy and stuff like that, you don't get anything because this is like if I didn't know any better, I'd think that this is the second coming of Jack Warner and Chuck Blazer. Just doing money grabs. By the way, how's the sound?
It sounds good, but it also sounds like you're boiling water in the background.
Oh, I am. No, I'm kidding. So just let me turn on my ceiling fan off.
No more DJ from the FS sound.
Yeah.
All right. So, what about now?
Yeah, it sounds better.
Okay, good.
Are you driving?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I just had the ceiling fan on.
Ah, got it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, overall, look, this tournament has left a lot to be desired. We do have knockout phase now, and the teams will start to weed out themselves. America has an interesting match against Chicago. I always felt like Chicago and America have a connection thanks to, obviously, Cuauhtemoc playing for both.
Yeah.
Pavel Pardo too.
Really?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Cuau plays some really. I saw a couple of his matches when he was with the Fire. It was fun to watch because honestly, when he went to the Fire, obviously he was towards the end of his career and stuff like that, and he wasn't as fast as he was, but Qual being Qual, man. I remember one thing that Aponte used to say about him is that, like, he may not be the fastest, but in terms of, like, thinking on the field, no one's faster than him. Like the way he's able to, make a decision and stuff like that. And props to him because I mean he was able to really play well, because obviously MLS, is a faster pace, more it's faster pace and more physical than Liga MX. Not to say that that's better or worse, but it's just that's just the way they play.
Yeah, I remember my uncle. We would, scrimmage, and they were a lot older than me, and they said, "Hey, like, we might not have the legs anymore to beat you on those, but when you get older, you just learn how to position yourself better."
Yep, exactly. Make sure you don't run the ball. You don't make sure the ball's doing the running. Not so much
Yeah.
yourself. But yeah. Uh, so right now, who are the favorites in Liga? I haven't seen any of the games. I'll probably watch the knockouts, but I hear that the Monterrey teams are doing pretty well.
Yeah, I got to cover the Tigres match over in San Jose. It was a pretty entertaining match. We had a 1-0 victory for them. You guys can actually see all the photos on soccerchronicle.com. And they won their group. So they won against Portland and San Jose. And then Rayados also won their group with their victories over Salt Lake and Seattle. Leon won their group as well. Who else? Toluca won their group. Mazatlan won their group. And Pumas and Atlas. Yeah. I would say the remaining teams from Mexico that are in the tournament should be a good. I mean, they should get past their opponent in the round of 32. All except for Juarez, they have a tough match against LAFC. But honestly, I could see Juarez beating them. LAFC's hasn't had a competitive match in a couple of weeks because they had the first round bye, as did Pachuca. Pachuca's last match was on July 16th. We're now in August 1st, so it's been almost 3 weeks.
But Rayados does look like the favorite. They people say that America has a deep bench, but I think they're a little bit more stacked than America.
Absolutely. We'll see if they can. Actually, I don't even know if Sergio Canales is eligible to play. I know that you have to register your players ahead of time for this tournament. So Sergio Canales, their most recent signing, their Bomba signing. Yeah, he's decided to leave Betis and La Liga and go to Mexico. Monterrey's got deep pockets, man. That whole city.
It'll be interesting to see if the Monterrey coach, who I won't name, will do the same, shenanigans of playing well in the group stage, and then just totally, just fuck it up. I don't even want to think about that guy.
Dan Ortiz, man. Did y'all dirty. And, Monterrey has had that happen to them, even with Vucetic, right? Have a great regular season, and then come playoffs, they just can't been able to get over the hump. We'll see how it goes with them against Portland. But, yeah. Not very excited about Chucky Lozano joining LAFC.
Is that a done deal?
It's almost done. I think he himself has agreed to terms, but Napoli spent quite a bit of coin to acquire him. I think they spent 50 million on him. So they want, some of that back. And I think LAFC is not ready to spend 20 million for him. So we'll see what happens.
Chucky's 28, something like that?
Let's see. Chucky Lozano is Yeah, he's 28 years old. He just turned 28. I think it's a little bit too early, no? To be hanging up the boots.
I don't know. I think he may be wanting to get on that Messi wave, you know?
I know that he was one of the most fouled players in Liga MX, and I'm sure that carried over to Holland and Serie A. So getting banged up, he's a young player. He did have a couple of serious injuries. I remember he had like that head injury collision. That was pretty scary. And I mean, look, man, he's got a wife and kids. He's Carlos Vela unfortunately, paved the road for other Mexicans to to basically do the same fucking thing, which is you go to LA, they give you the keys to the city, you get paid well, the pressure is less, the media loves you, you're a superstar there, and yeah, I mean, what's not to love about living in Los Angeles and getting paid?
Less pressure than even Pachuca. That's saying something.
Well, I don't know. Pachuca, I think I told you guys this. I read it in one of those, I think it's kind of an old books. There was a player in Pachuca who used to ride the bike. He used to ride his bike to the games and to the practices, you know?
Really?
But yeah. Uh, yeah, I would have to agree with you, Jaime. I mean, although he's not the first one, Mexican player to go to MLS. I think he was probably the first one that went to there in his prime. He was still, he was still at a peak, because I mean, honestly, I don't see it, but I guess with Messi and basically Barcelona B team now coming to MLS. I think you're going to see more Mexican players in the prime,
Yeah,
heading out.
and Chucky, I think he had a tough time in Naples with the criticism and the expectation of being their most expensive signing of all time, and going to a league that is a lot more defensive, and Gattuso gave him a hard time there.
Yeah, he did.
They end up winning the league, which is historic, and he did have a little bit to do with that title run. And I guess for him, it's like, great, I can, end this chapter in Europe and
I mean, yeah, because he was a champion in Italy. He's a champion in the Netherlands.
yeah. I just feel like that's even more of a reason to try and go for another club, let's say in England, let's say in Spain, and try to do it again, like instead of going to taking the easy way out and just calling it quits at 28, where
It's
you would still
wages, Jaime.
you would still have like a good chance of making the 2026 roster. Maybe not as a starter, but still like a role player in that.
Yeah, but if the teams aren't willing to pay you, why should you stay there?
I'm pretty sure, being Napoli's most expensive signing, I'm pretty sure he got a pretty good wage, bro.
I know, but what other team is offering him a contract?
That's a good.
Well,
I don't know.
another way to look at it is that if Chucky comes to LA, to the Galaxy and stuff like that, and obviously he's going to be getting more. He's going to get a lot of playing time. I mean, for the guys that are in Europe, riding the pine and stuff like that, starting in 2026 is not going to be a guarantee. So, I mean, I think that's probably one. I guess, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the things that, some of the guys that are thinking of heading back to Mexico or heading back to the MLS that are not doing well in Europe, because at the end of the day, you need to be playing because in order to get on the national team. Because I don't think that that whoever it is, whether it's Jimmy or whoever, I don't think they're gonna do what they did with like Raul Jimenez, where you're playing players that are out of rhythm or injured and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
see it more through the money, Ron.
What's that? Repeat that.
I see it more for the money.
No, you're right. Yeah,
You need to get that big deal that could set you up. So he's getting, what is the rumor, 5.5 million a year
You're telling
for what
me
is it?
he's not
3
getting
years maybe.
You're telling me he's not getting that right now to Napoli?
I don't know what he's getting at Napoli, but Napoli wants to sell him, and I haven't heard any other team willing to offer him or that has been offering him a contract.
There was a rumor if
Later-
Chivas were interested in his services, but that's a fucking pipe dream.
Just you can't afford that. But 5.5 a year. So let's say it's a 3-year contract, maybe extension to a fourth. That's that's a cool 20. And even if you get injured, let's say what was that guy, man? Marcelo broke his leg.
Oh, that was painful to
Something,
watch.
That was
dude.
tough,
Something
bro.
like that. Like that guy's career is pretty much over.
Shit, dude.
So if something like that happens to you as a player, but you already secured a contract that leaves 20 in the bank, you're still getting that money. And you're set, you could buy an Oxxo and a Sinopolis or something and just sit back and collect. Because, yeah, we've seen too many players that squandered their money or they go and they buy like a really fancy house and cars, but to maintain that lifestyle, it's really expensive. And once the money dries up, you can't afford that, So that's where we see a lot of these players that end up broke or end up just doing like some dumb shit. Like we saw, was it Gato Ortiz, right? Ended up in jail. I forgot. Was he running drugs? Um, Ron, you remember that guy?
Yeah, I got the Ortiz. I remember him.
Yeah, he was a
The-
part of a ring of that were doing kidnappings.
Shit, even worse, dude. But I'm like,
Yeah.
how far did this guy fall off to end up like that? And there's other like some stories like that. You don't kind of hear about them because we mainly know about the main players. But I've heard of players that were in Liga MX that are in the U.S. working construction and stuff. And I'm nothing against working. I work construction,
La
but
Momia.
I'm just saying these are players that at one point, were living a pretty fancy life, and now they're stuck with blue collar jobs. So that's why
Yeah, but
I get
that's
it
not Chuky's
for a lot of-
situation, man. He's one of the most marketable players in Mexico. He's been
But where's
Mexico's
the
most.
contract, Jaime? Where's the contract? Show me the money, dude.
You never know, Jaime.
No, I know you never
can-
know.
Hot one day, yeah, cold tomorrow.
But how are you going to walk away from Champions League football and European football and call it quits and go to the MLS, dude, and play for LAFC? It's just, I know that they're really playing the whole like, hey, look at my family, look how happy they are. Vela's like wife and kids. They just look so at home over there in LAFC, and I'm sure that's a huge factor. I'm sure Chucky Lozano was like, yeah, man, this is gonna be a much higher quality of life, less stress, and
There you go.
I still get to play soccer. But it's like,
Yes.
damn, bro, like you were kind of like the last. Like I'm thinking about like some of our most talented players or the players that are like elite in Mexico, and I consider Chucky Lozano one of them. And it's just like, it sucks to see him decide to like call it quits at 28, man. I feel like he had
But
a couple more years left before making that kind of decision.
but why he forged a career for himself? Why should he take a pay cut or be downgraded? Right, just because the team offering him the money is not in Europe. Like, why should he give his services away and sort of like kind of what Ochoa has to do, and play in these weak teams and for less money just to be in Europe. Not criticizing Ochoa, but if the option is you're getting this much more money over here that will secure your future and for you and your family, then that's what I'm taking. I don't care if I'm gonna play another Champions League game. I care where I'm gonna be 4 or 5 years down the line and how secure I'm gonna be. Because not a lot of these goods are gonna end up in football. It's a very small amount that stay in as coach or directivos or even in the press. That's even though it seems like a lot. If we see the amount of players, it's a very small amount.
Yeah, for sure. I guess again, for selfish reasons, I want him to stay out there. And another thing too is we really don't see anyone replacing him anytime soon, so he can still easily get called up to the national team and continue to play and represent Mexico, despite this being a detriment to his game.
Just like Héctor Herrera, más estorbando.
But Hector at least is not getting called up anymore.
He shouldn't have been on that in Qatar, man.
There's a lot of players that should have been in Qatar. I'm looking at you, Raul Jimenez.
Didn't Héctor Moreno start that game
Which one?
against Argentina?
I don't know, bro. Probably.
That guy's way, even though he's in Liga MX, that guy's way past it too. Like you said, I mean, that's what I'm more worried about. Like that's because he's always gonna have that Germany goal to fall back on, so he's gonna get those call ups no matter what.
Moreno, I mean, he was part of the 05 Peru team, right? And won the under 17.
Was he?
Yeah, he was part of that generation. He was, I think, on that team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
So I mean, if you think about it, I don't blame whatever move he's doing because he's towards the. I mean, think about it, Giovanni Dos Santos. I mean, this was. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, that's almost 20 years ago. This was an under 17 team. So most of those players were 16, 17.
Hector is a lot older though. He's 35.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm almost positive he was on that roster.
Yeah, he was.
Yep, yeah, I remember. Because you had Giovanni Dos Santos, Héctor Moreno, Vela,
Pato Araujo.
But the ones that had European careers.
Oh, European careers, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So I don't expect. I mean, he's on the out anyhow. Héctor Moreno.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Héctor Herrera, how his move to MLS.
I read an article a couple of weeks back. He was talking about how him moving to MLS kind of basically shut the door on the national team. The national team shut the door on him.
Mm-hmm.
What did he expect?
Well, I mean, I feel like it's like special treatment because other players that were competing in MLS got called up.
Yeah, but think about it. Chicharito for reasons that they still haven't really said.
Yeah.
But there's. I don't know. I don't know if the mentality will change, but for the most part, if you were in MLS, you weren't really getting called up.
Yeah. We'll see if they'll make a special circumstance for Chucky Lozano.
Yep.
If this deal goes through.
All right, gentlemen, it's getting late on my
over
here in the East.
We're actually getting to the 2-hour mark. looking to wrap things up. So, if you have any closing thoughts, Ron, we'll start with you.
Even though I don't like the League's Cup, I hope America wins it just so, I can rub it in your face. Kind of like the Giants. Kind of like the Giants Cup when I used to remember that Holy back in the big soccer days.
What was it?
The Giants.
The Giants Cup. I vaguely remember it, dude, because you've had so many.
Copa de Gigantes. It was basically just a tournament that had the entrance was being one of the historical teams in your country. So like they invited Chivas and America. They invited like the watermelon teams like Municipal and Comunicaciones and like the Costa Rica ones like Saprissa and what's that other one? What's that other one?
Alajuelense or
Yeah, stuff like that. So, I mean, that was actually the first title that Alme had won in like 10 years, dude. Or if I'm not mistaken. It was, and I just remember, I mean, I remember Hoyley was always trying to minimize that, that tournament.
Hey, man, I mean, you guys will start counting it as a star. CONCACAF Giants Cup 2001. Wow.
Yes. Wow.
Damn, Ron, you went too far back. See, no wonder.
God damn.
Yeah. It's like, it was always making fun of that one and making fun of Brother 85. And I always go back to did Chivas play?
Chivas lost to Comunicaciones.
Uh-huh.
And DC United lost to you guys. Wow, 2-0. Champions.
Yeah. Coco Basile was coach.
Jorge Toldano scored 3 goals for y'all.
Yeah.
I don't even know who the fuck that is. All right, Ron. Well, thanks for hopping on. Your audio sounds a lot better. Thanks for investing in a headset. We got some other people with closing thoughts. Who's next?
I'll go next. The pleasure is always, gentlemen, talk with you guys. Even though I hate this cup, like it's worthless. It doesn't do the logistics excuse that they had for Libertadores is surprising. They don't mention that for this cup. Regarding all the teams getting stuck in airports, games being delayed, but that's part of the MLS propaganda agenda. But regarding America, I just hope they get rid of. I know they're getting rid of Araujo because he's been one of the worst signings I've ever seen. And Layun, I think he probably has like a Azcárraga, like eating puppies or drinking baby's blood because it doesn't make sense why he's still on the team. Oh, and Chivas has egg on his face for not signing that guy. Yeah.
Brandon Vasquez. We were talking about that, man.
That's pepinazos, man. That's bad luck.
Stay away from Cesar Montes is all I'm saying.
Oh, it's fake news, man. I told you that guy that shit Cliff, he's always wrong. Anytime he says something, just bet on the opposite. Yeah. Always.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks, Chicago, for hopping on tonight. We'll see how y'all do against Chicago Fire. Hopefully, y'all get through past them and do us a favor and also knock out Cincinnati while you're at it. Get some revenge on them beating us.
Oh, for sure, man.
Joel, what you got for us, Mike?
Damn, not much. I mean, I don't know what to add to this.
What are we gonna do for 3 weeks, dog? Chivas are eliminated.
Oh, and Habibi ducked too.
He couldn't make it tonight. Yeah, he did let us know. He had some relatives come over and whatnot. He had a host.
Sure.
He was all worked up last night, though. I'll tell you that.
He was, dude. he lost faith in the Iron Man, and Pau is burning the shirt pretty much.
Why do you go after the Iron Man? What do he have to do with the game?
Well, I mean, if he doesn't trust the process, that's, you know,
Yeah, he had a meltdown equivalent to the Austin FC fans, man. It was
he was just missing the word panoch.
No sirve para nada.
Oh man.
No, okay. Here's my hot take. I think this tournament, if anything, at least serving that purpose, at least of creating some animosity, and then where at least you're willing to watch it, even if it's to watch some of the other teams lose. But I feel that, you know, and even going back to 2001, as Ron said, Giants Cup, it's always been sort of like a mission to have a tournament here. And I know it's not to that level of a Libertadores, but I feel we should just make the best of what we do have, you know. And so, I mean, it's not perfect, and yeah, it's obviously it's designed to benefit the MLS teams. But I think if it's creating, you know, rivalries and whatnot, then that's a good start right there, because that's the only way you're gonna create rivalries is the more teams play each other, the more you have games, uh, you know, and then eventually they start becoming more meaningful.
Yeah, you know, this is literally ground zero. This is the first. I mean, they've had Leagues Cup for a couple years now, but it was just a showcase or whatnot. But this is legitimately the first time we're doing this. Who knows if 5-10 years from now we'll still be talking about Leagues Cup. But in its first iteration, I think that there's a lot that needs to get worked out. I think they need to even the playing field when it comes to hosting matches and all that. Again, I would much rather them incorporate this into the regular season, sprinkle these games in between, you know, matches on the, you know, like on a Tuesday or Wednesday, have the home and away, because it's not fair to have all these matches in the States. I would love to see a team like, I don't know, New England play in Juarez or in Mazatlan, you know, really throw them out of their element and be in a place where they haven't experienced before, or take them to the altitude, you know, where it's harder to breathe. I would like to see that be involved and incorporated into this tournament to really up the ante.
Or you know what else they could do, Jaime? If like if they don't want to give Liga MX teams home games like in Mexico, take the game to where like let's say a Chivas is well, it didn't work out for you guys against that Kansas team, but put Chivas or a Mexican team like America like like on the West Coast or in Texas, so it'll like away from their team and like a neutral ground,
Yeah.
but it'll make those Mexican teams feel like a home game.
Yeah, exactly. Host an America game in fucking Los Angeles. You know, that would be equivalent to almost playing in El Azteca. Something like that, you know. But it's the first iteration of this tournament. What I will tell the fans and everyone listening, like, hey, look, you know, it's not the end of the world. This is the first of its kind. And no, it's not one league's better than the other. The data is, we still have a lot more to go through with this tournament. Once we see these teams get eliminated and we get to the semis and even the final, this does not have an actual like measurement of, oh, this league's doing better than the other. And just take these results with a grain of salt. For Chivas fans, look, we got the next 3 weeks off, so I don't know what else there's to watch. I'll tell you right now, I'm not watching that Women's World Cup. No, thank you. I guess I'm going to be stuck watching this and some other friendlies that are happening in the States. But it's been an incredible month of July, folks. We were able to get on the pitch many times, and you guys have access to all those photos and images at soccerchronicle.com. Also been posting them on our IG, Cantina MX pod, so make sure to give it a follow there. But gentlemen, we will catch you guys in the next episode, and hope everyone has a productive rest of the week. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye. All right, YouTubers, that is the end of the podcast. We will try to record another one after these elimination matches that happen in the next couple of days. Would love to hear your guys' opinions on these matches on Twitter. We are on Twitter, Cantina MX Podcast, Instagram. Every now and then we do upload memes on TikTok. We're pretty much everywhere now. We even have our own Discord. So give us a shout out. Let's stay connected.